You're looking at a man that's died and been brought back to life 6 times. You're probably asking yourself, how? As most of you already know, North America, actually, the world, is in the midst of a gripping overdose crisis where in the United States, 7 people die every hour. And in British Columbia, Canada, 4 people die every day to a drug overdose. That leaves families, friends, children, spouses, employers, and communities heartbroken from the devastating impacts of this deadly disease. Yes, I died 6 times. And it was a program of harm reduction that helped save my life. So what is harm reduction? It can be so simply described as to reduce harm. If you have a severe allergy and you eat some food, or you get an insect bite that causes an allergic reaction, you inject your EpiPen. That's harm reduction. In diabetes, you regularly monitor your blood sugar levels and inject your insulin. That's harm reduction. High blood pressure patients take their prescribed medications to reduce the risk of heart attack and stroke. That's harm reduction. In all 3 of these examples, you're probably pretty familiar with and would even agree that harm reduction works. For people who inject drugs, it's injecting them at supervised consumption sites, going on opioid-assisted therapies, and carrying Narcan kits. The question one should ask is, why are supervised consumption sites and opioid-assisted therapies so controversial when the medical field is filled with and supportive of harm reduction for almost every other disease? Let's look at supervised consumption sites. These places have actually existed for hundreds of years, and I have absolutely no doubt that some of you here use them yourselves. You ever find yourself in your favorite bar, tavern, pub, enjoying your favorite drug, alcohol? Perhaps you've overconsumed. Your server would bring you black coffee, water, possibly call you a cab ride home because you were incapable of making it home on your own. That's harm reduction. At the supervised consumption site where people inject drugs, they're given clean, sterile supplies, which stops the spread of infectious diseases. And if they happen to overdose, there's staff there to revive them. Why is one socially acceptable and the other is not? You see, some of society believes that supervised consumption sites enable people to continue using, or it encourages people to start. On the second example, I just couldn't picture a couple sitting around their kitchen table reading their morning paper, finding out a supervised consumption site's opened in their community, and decided to go down and inject heroin. It's just not practical. And with the enabling, people who are trapped in the grips of an addiction are going to continue to use whether these places exist or not. The truth is that over 5,000 overdoses at the supervised consumption site in Vancouver, there's never been a death. And over the 80 to 100 that exist around the world, there's never, ever been a recorded death. Could you imagine how many lives would be lost if it didn't exist? Or how many people wouldn't have the opportunity at recovering This facility does much more than just save lives. The program's designed to build a rapport with the individuals that use it, which turns into a gateway to accessing other services, such as detox and treatment options. This harm reduction facility should exist in any community impacted by the overdose crisis. And now let's look at opioid-assisted therapies. To understand addiction, one must truly understand obsessive behavior. How many of you navigate your daily lives through phone, email, computer? And how many of you could honestly say that you could go 5 minutes, 1 hour, or even 1 full day without checking any of your devices? That's obsessive behavior. Opioid-assisted therapies addresses 2 areas. First, and most importantly, it addresses the physical dependency of addiction. When a person is in active withdrawal, I can only describe it as this. It's the flu times 10. Fever, extreme body aches, vomiting, diarrhea, something so terrible that you would do anything to stop feeling it, including using the same drugs you're so desperately trying to get off of. Opioid-assisted therapies prevents withdrawal for 24 to 36 hours. Street drugs last 1 to 4 hours. That's harm reduction. Secondly, it addresses the mental obsession that the user battles with. This is a prescribed medication from a doctor that stabilizes the individual. And once they're stable, they're able to focus on other things like get a job, go to school, seek counseling, or how about just the ability to enjoy life. This evidence-based therapy is no theory, and it's been proven to change the lives of thousands upon thousands for the better. One large study out of England showed a 50% reduction in death for people on opioid-assisted therapies. Addiction doesn't exist because of harm reduction. Harm reduction exists because of addiction. And for me, personally, opioid-assisted therapies and the supervised consumption site played a huge role in saving my life. Yes, I did make the original choice to start using substances at the young age of 12. However, I didn't have a choice in the first 12 years of my life, where I endured years of verbal and physical abuse that left me crippled as a human being. This led to anxiety, depression, self-hatred, and self-medication. I also didn't have the choice in possessing the genetics of addiction. You see, people can't seem to get past the stigma or the behavior of a person that uses substances to understand that this is a lifelong, unasked for, and unfair disease that requires treatment in order to sustain life, much like diabetes, COPD, or any of the other chronic diseases. In my early 20s, I was homeless and consumed by addiction in the downtown east side of Vancouver. And in 2003, at the age of 33, I was introduced to North America's first supervised consumption site and opioid-assisted therapies, which kept me alive long enough to make the necessary changes to have the ability to enjoy the life that I live today. And if these 2 vital harm reduction facilities didn't exist, then I wouldn't exist. and neither would these two beautiful children or this beautiful family exist. The challenge has been getting these two modules socially acceptable. Are we a society that's become so focused on the substance that we've forgotten the value of human life? Maybe if it were a child struggling with drug addiction, we'd look at it differently. Is the stigma that exists in drug addiction and harm reduction playing a contributing factor to the overdose crisis? Is it hindering people from reaching out? Here's an interesting statistic. In 2017, 88% of the people that died of a drug overdose died alone. And 60% of those died in a private residence. That can be a house just like yours. Today, I work for one of the biggest health providers in British Columbia. And a big part of my job is working with people in addiction and on opioid-assisted therapies. Addiction knows no age, race, gender. I've worked with people as young as 15 and as old as 70. I've also fielded numerous calls from people struggling with drug addiction in other communities who cannot reach out in their communities because of the stigma that exists. Sadly, these people lose their lives. How do you view drug addiction and harm reduction? Do you view it with compassion, or do you view it with conviction? I'll ask everyone this. What's the one thing that you can change in your attitude towards drug addiction and harm reduction? We can all change one thing. Maybe it's to have a little more empathy. Maybe it's to have a little more understanding. Or maybe it's to have a little more compassion. Perhaps you know someone struggling with drug addiction right now. Family member, friend, or even a neighbor. You see, in order to combat this growing epidemic, we need to change the culture and end the stigma that exists in drug addiction and harm reduction in order to save lives. People don't have to die anymore. And if you happen to hear or see of a supervised consumption site or opioid-assisted therapy clinic opening in your community, please don't be so quick to judge it and dismiss it. Because the truth is they save lives. And remember, you can't save a dead addict. Thanks for listening.